Hello and welcome to another episode of Change. With the changing times, we are changing as well. With these changes, there are internal changes that we all need. Sometimes we know it, sometimes we do not. Sometimes knowing is not enough. It is important to master that we have to change our attitudes, our thought processes, our understandings to deal with these changes. On this episode of Change, let us explore other aspects of the life that is changing. Today, we have Sister USha with us in the studio. Didi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
When we look at people, we know that everybody is changing. With age, there are certain responsibilities that change. With times, there are also sometimes we have to give up responsibilities when we have to say that, okay, you can take it further. We were talking about parenting. There is a common understanding that mother is the first teacher. And when it comes to education as well, many people say that it is the mother's job to teach children. And most often, when children do something wrong, the first question that other people ask is, have your parents taught these things at your home? And it is often a derogatory remark. It is not very enthusiastically said, but whenever children do something horribly wrong, that is when people use this. And it often hurts parents as well.
Yes.
But in the times where parents are no longer the teachers, of course they are the first teachers, but they are not their only teachers now, because children learn from different sources. There are members of society, people who live in gated societies where at a young age, people are exposed to a lot of different things. Television, print media, social media, internet. There are a lot of other sources as well.
Yeah.
So at these junctures, when learning is not happening in the family, it is happening at a wider avenue, many people find it difficult to accept this change. Many parents want to control their children because they want their children to learn only this. But naturally, you do not have control over all these widespread avenues.
Yeah.
So with this change, many parents feel that this is not in my hands.
It is not in the hands, definitely. Because nowadays, as the exposure is increasing, children are being exposed to so many things and they understand so many things that they feel they are independent. Why should they rely on their parents? They are learning before the parents are telling them or before the parents are teaching them. And the parents feel, okay, let him grow up a little bit, I'll teach them. I'll make him understand. But then it becomes too late. And he has learned so many things. And the parents are trying to teach him the first lesson. You have to do this, you have to do that. And he says, I know. You know. And the parents would think, how did you know? Well, you know. They do not clear up how they knew, but they feel they know everything. And why are they teaching me now? We have moved forward. So this is where the parents should also understand, and at a very young age, they need to give them a proper guidance. Before they understand, we have to give them the guidance and direct them. Then only the children will learn according to the parents. Another thing that we see in the world, definitely, that nowadays, when the child is being fed, he needs a mobile. Without having a mobile, he doesn't eat. He won't eat. So the parents would tie the mobile on their forehead so that he can watch it, whatever he is watching. 6 months old baby. And the mother feels, I should free myself fast in feeding him. So while he's watching, she goes on putting one by one spoon in his mouth, and he's just
Swallowing
the food. He's not even eating the food. He doesn't know how to munch.
Or,
He doesn't even know that because he's so engrossed it's going directly in, which is unhealthy. But then the parents say that without this mobile, he doesn't eat. But who gave him that habit? In order to make him feel fast, getting free so that I can do my work, I can go for my work, we only gave him that, okay, watch this, and so he wants. So why do we make the children get into a bad habit initially only? And then we have this complaint, because nowadays we see those children who from a very young age are addicted to these mobiles, the radiation which is affecting their brain and everywhere, they are psychologically not well. And then the parents want him to just get out of that habit, and it's very difficult. As you mentioned, that child was not able to understand that the internet is not everywhere. So the father, and in 7 minutes he had to go through so many things, so much of chaos. So why did I give that habit, induce that habit in the child? And if I want to break that habit, okay, next time when I feed him, don't give the mobile. You have to break that association of memories that he eats only when there is a mobile. So let me break this association of memories. So when a person gets separated, then he should have at least a goal of life. What does my happiness depend upon? My happiness was not just a person or something, but my happiness is internal. And this is where actually the spiritual wisdom helps us to understand what does my happiness depend upon. It is not dependent on an individual, not dependent on something or some place or some person, but the happiness is coming from within. The source is within, so I have to go within, redefine my goal of life, my purpose of being in this world, and focus my energy, channelize my energy in that direction. It should not be that now the person has separated, so everything is finished in my life, now there is no goal in my life, or I just have to look after my child, that's the only goal, get him bigger and get him married, that's it, finished. No. But redefine life's purpose, redefine the goal of my life, set new goals. And when I am able to set new goals, then definitely I can again become a source of inspiration for my child also. I can advise him also, I can become an example in front of him also, so that my child would also understand life as it is. That life is not just a person, life is not just something, but life has a very deep meaning. And when the spiritual wisdom is there, it helps us to build up life again with a new focus, new goal, new purpose. And we can move on the basis of that. Recreate, reorganize life in a different way.
When you say reorganize and recreate this, there is a certain amount of trauma that exists when the other person withdraws from a relationship, when a husband or when a wife decides to separate or move away in different directions. Sometimes we hold the other person guilty for causing this misery. Of course, divorce is no longer a happy occasion. It is something which causes trouble and which is suffering for some people as well. But we hold that guilt sometimes for ourselves, if I am the cause of that breakup. Sometimes I hold the other person guilty because you caused it. Even though I might have moved out, I might have moved on in my life, I have channelized my energies properly, probably focusing on my career or focusing on my children. So whatever I'm doing, but whenever those memories come back to me or whenever I get face to face with you and I have to see you again, I am shrouded with those bad memories, and that I see the other person as the guilty party, as the cause of my misery. And for that reason, there is I would not call it hatred, but there is an uncomfortable feeling that I hold inside my heart for the other person as well. And this is something that I cannot deal with.
What happens that this feeling that this person is guilty, this person is the cause of this breakup. Well, any breakup cause is not just one person. Just as it is said that when we clap, both hands make that noise. The ideas were not matching. So instead of blaming one person and having that lower feeling in the self, this person has created a lot of mess in my life, this person has done this, and having all that negative thoughts in the mind, let me understand that, well, it broke up because our ideas did not match maybe. Initially we got together, but we did not see the other side of the personality of the person. Now that we saw the complete personality, and which was not being able, we were not able to get along together, so with proper understanding we have got separated. And so I cannot blame one person that this person is responsible for the breakup. No, then we'll never feel comfortable. But with true understanding that we can remain friends, but let us separate in our lives.
This is a change in the attitude, how I look at the person.
Yes. So when we accept this, that we can remain as friends, but let us separate. I think this relationship, instead of just dragging this relationship through all this, through the years, and creating more mess of our life, it is better we remain friends and we can live separate and we can go apart. You have your own choice, I have my own choice. So this is where, with this understanding, we'll not blame one another. We'll not fight upon it, one another. But fine. And then we will never feel uncomfortable whenever that person comes in front of us also. Because we have separated with a proper understanding. That look, you have your own ways, and maybe I cannot match with those ways, with those choices of yours. I have my own choices, and you cannot match with those choices. So let us remain as friends as we were before, get separated. So this is an understanding. And I've seen such breakups where they remain as friends, and afterwards also they call one another, they talk to one another, they do not feel uncomfortable. Now the ways are different, and both of them has redefined and recreated their life, reorganized their life, that now my goal of life, and they are able to give a new meaning to their lives.
Something has changed inside.
Yes. So it's a consciousness, I would say. The seed is the consciousness. When the consciousness changes, the attitudes, the perception, everything starts changing. The feelings, everything starts changing.
As much as I understand that this consciousness will bring about these changes, earlier there used to be a big support mechanism to help people deal with these kind of changes. Today, the only support system that we find is most often friends, and family is gone nuclear now. Where there's 4 people, there's 2 kids and 2 parents. Grandparents are not there, or even if they are, they live somewhere else. So there is nothing to fall back upon. And as much as you said that you must create this new awareness, but people in the shock of the moment do not have that shock absorber, nothing to fall back onto. So at that moment they want somebody else to be there. And in that phase of life, people usually jump into any relationship that comes
Any
up.
other relationship, yeah.
Yeah, and that is just a way of holding on or supporting, trying to get a support from someone. And that also often causes distress, that you're just coming out of a relationship and you're moving on to the next one. And this change also becomes difficult.
What happens? Why do I want support from somebody? Because maybe internally I don't have the willpower to support myself. I have to understand life from a different perspective, that in today's age, nobody has time for anyone. And so, no one can become a support for me. This is the time when people sometimes land up in depression because they are not able to handle themselves. But I would say, if we go through a spiritual counseling, that spiritual counseling helps us a lot. And with that spiritual counseling, I can grow again. It is not the end or finish. Now I cannot handle myself and then land up in depression or get into a bad habit. Especially if a person does not find anyone, then he takes the support of drinking, smoking, and getting into some drug habits, all that. But instead of taking that as a support, there is another support which is more positive, a spiritual counseling. And if I take that support, I think it will give me positive energy to stand on my own legs. Instead of trying to lean onto somebody, I can stand on my own. I have seen many such people who at least were guided by somebody. Why don't you go for this spiritual counseling? And they come for that spiritual counseling and they tell us, and now they've stood on their own legs and they are very happy because they are able to manage that breakup very easily.
Very beautifully said, Didi.
Yes.
It is so important just to understand that there are other sources of positivity as well.
Why they want the support of any person, any friend or any other relationship? Because in that relationship, they actually want counseling. And really if that person is helping them, then they lean on to that person.
Yeah.
So instead of that, if I feel, why should I get into another mishap, I would say. Let me take a spiritual counseling so that I can stand on my own legs, and with this spiritual counseling, I can focus my energy in a more positive direction. And I've seen many people are able to handle, instead of landing up in depression, stress, frustration, all that, and taking the support of some bad habits, they have created their life in a more positive way.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And this change in awareness brings about such huge changes as well.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that these conversations that we have had have a deeper impact if people understand it the way that we have spoken today.
Yes.
And as much as I appreciate it, I pretty much understand that our audience also appreciates it, because many people do not speak about it. And here on this platform, you have so wisely imparted these understandings, which, taken in the right spirit, could help us move to a different way of life. And these changes are possible.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that
Thank
wisdom.
you so much. Om Shanti.
Like Rumi said, that you are sitting upon a gold mine, and why are you bothered about the riches of the world? Sometimes we have all the source, all the support within us, but we look for it outside. And if that awareness comes back to the self, if we understand that we are the true self, we are the ones who can support ourselves, then probably we would not look outside for anything. In today's change, the change that we must bring about is the change of awareness. It is the awareness that is the seed of everything that we see around us. Let us bring about that change and lead our lives in a more satisfied way. That's all on this episode. We'll see you again. Till then, take care.